You see the study? Ultra-processed foods not cause obesity, says a U.S. government's top diet advisors in bombshell review of current evidence. Studies have been biased. Bro, do you have any idea how captured, paid for, and in the pocket of big food, big pharma, whatever these government officials are? How in bed government is with these companies that spend millions a year, potentially billions, lobbying. And also, who funds the research? So the irony here is even the funded research could not show how processed foods are linked to obesity, even though they try so hard. And then they try so hard with this shit where they come out and they're like, the studies are biased. It's like, what? You pick like 5 studies, you say they're biased? What about the thousands and thousands and thousands of other studies that are biased, but biased to the big food or the big pharma or whoever's funding it? The meme here is obviously a clown, and this was a Daily Mail health headline, right? They try to say things like exclusive. They try to say bombshell review. Here's something when it comes to research. Throw it out. In most cases, throw it out. Because, very simple to understand, to prove falsification, to do real, actual experimentation, you have to control all the variables. And as it comes to humans and human health, the way they actually do an experiment is to lock 100 or more humans in cages, feed them only certain foods, have some control groups, maybe a vegan diet, meat-based diet, a mixed diet, whatever, right? A processed food diet, and then force feed them to eat it. You got to make sure they eat it. Give them an exact amount of exercise, like walk on a treadmill a certain time. It's basically like rat studies. That's what they do with rat studies. And they can control a lot of variables. And you can get some pretty actionable information by studying rats. Now, of course, they say that rats are similar to humans, whatever, but we're not rats, though. So, obviously. But if you did that study, and you did it on humans, it would be so blatantly obvious. So instead, what they do, they perform research where they send polls in the mail, or now maybe they even polls done with like college students, or polls done where you have people come in a room and they like volunteer for it, or you send it in the mail and they fill out a questionnaire and send it back. I'm telling you, that is how a lot of nutrition research is done. It's not done by performing experiments. It's done by looking at polls, questionnaires that people fill out about how many times did you eat red meat last week? 2, 3, 5, more than 5, less than 1, and then they'll just go down a list of how fried foods or breaded foods or grains, whatever. I don't remember what I ate yesterday. You're going to ask me a question about what I ate like last week or 2 weeks ago or over the last month. And then you tabulate all that data and you call it research. And then you look at that person, you try to track them later and be like, oh, well, that person got heart disease, that didn't. And you try to pull that data together, not even mentioning like how much of that data you don't actually get. It's like if you had 1,000 people 10 years ago fill out some form and you want to follow up with them 10 years later, how many of those people are dead? How many of those people are off the grid? How many of those people didn't reply to you? Like, it's when you understand how research is and how they call this research, epidemiology, research, right? It hurts your brain to see shit like this because so much of the public still eats this up. They don't understand. They think like some guy in a lab coat did some very rigorous study and they controlled for all the variables and they came to these profound conclusions. It is literal bullshit. Instead, you can be the scientist because you are, if you try anything, if you experiment in your life and you do a food journal or you track it or you see results, whatever, if you eat one way and you feel better, if you get out processed foods and you lose 10 pounds and you look like $1 million, you performed an empirical study and you are a citizen scientist. You don't need some degree or lab coat or big pharma or big food funding to perform experiments, to do research. You just got to track some stuff and you got to change some stuff. That's it.